Welcome everyone to this on-demand presentation on 2020 Design Live. So here is where you're going to get to know everything that you need to know about 2020 Design Live. My name is Santiago Morales. I'm the product manager of 2020 Design, and we also have Mark Monahan, who's the product manager of Cloud Content Application. So with the both of us, we'll present you the Nicks and the updates done to 2020 Design Live. And we'll get to the bottom as to what's incorporated within the scope, what does it entail, access to cloud items, et cetera, and how you can configure some of these cloud items. So, as I was saying, here's our agenda. I'll be starting it off with 2020 Design Live. What's the scope? What is it? How do you get your hands on it? And how you can play and access to have all these cool functionalities. Then I'll hand it to Mark, who's going to present the cloud browser and the cloud configurator. Then I'll come back to me and I'll talk about the rates, how you can change the rates of these cloud catalogs. And we'll finish it off by talking about the reporting capabilities and how your reports now look within 2020 Design Live with cloud items embedded in them. All right, 2020 Design Live version 12. What is it? Here it is. Basically, there's two flavors, 2020 Design Live. So if you look over here, you have the foundation version, and you also have the full version, as I call it, 2020 Design Live. Basically, the Design Live Foundation gives you access to all the generic catalogs, whether they are file-based or cloud items. You can now have access to these catalogs, and better yet, you'll be able to configure all the cloud items that are coming from generic catalog. Of course, the full edition provides those two functionalities and also includes access to manufactured content, whether they are file-based or cloud-based. You'll be able to add those items from the cloud or file-based and configure them with 2020 Design Live. We've also bundled in the full version access to closet functionality. So if that's of interest to you, you'll be able to complete your projects not only for kitchen and bath, but also for closets, area, and spaces. There's also the application integration module, which is more of an advanced functionality that permits you an integration with compatible third-party software. Cool. So what's important to note is that with 2020 Design Live, you'll still have access to all your functionality of 2020 Design that you love and like to play with today. So that, in a nutshell, is 2020 Design Live. Now I'm going to hand it over to Mark Monahan to talk about the cloud browser, how you can access the cloud, how you can bring items into your projects, and how you can better your experience using these cloud items. Cool. All right, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Santiago. Okay, so I'm going to run through a few different areas in 2020 Design Live and show you content from the cloud. I'm going to start over here with the newsfeed on the left, which you may have seen over the past couple of years. It's been active. And you can go here and find out what's new, what's recently updated, which catalogs have come out recently or been updated, and also find out product information and other useful information that we post. All of these things here are linked. So clicking on here will open the article up in our website, and you can read further information about those things. Okay, so let's take a look at our kitchen. We can see that we've got a 3D view here, and there's a gaping hole where a range should be. So the first thing we're going to do here is find a range to fill that gap. So I'm going to use the browser here, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. It's also very easy to undock this by just dragging it and redocking it. It's very useful if you have multiple screens. So let's dig in and see. So in our catalog list here, this is constantly being added to. You can see we have a significant number of catalogs in there, all kinds of different types of catalogs. So what we're looking for is appliance catalogs. And we're going to use the naming convention that we have in place here. So I'm going to type in this field here the first couple of letters of appliance, and you can see it's self-filtered. Now my list is an awful lot shorter. So I'm going to select all of those appliance catalogs, and let's see what we get back. And now obviously there's going to be a lot of items in here. We have 4,000, and there's going to be more than just ranges. So let's use this other text filter here for the item filter and find a gas range. Now I don't need to hit return. I can just stop typing and it will filter those results for me. And now we're down to 465, which is still rather a lot. So I'm going to use this handy additional filter tool here, which allows you to put in ranges of criteria. So in this case, I'm going to look for something that I know fits in that slot, something between 35 and 36 inches. And now we're down to a much more manageable item list of products that will fit in there. Now, we have multiple ways that you can view these return results. I prefer, for this particular use case, to look at it in a grid view and with plenty of items on the page. And now I can very easily get a good visual on which particular item I might be looking for in here. One thing you'll notice as I mouse over these products, I get a nice big preview that gives me a good detailed view of the item. And if I select one, let's try this one, I can pull up the information relevant to that particular item. Okay, so let's add that in. I'm going to go to the cabinet view here so I can easily see my space, and I'm going to drag that product in here. And then you'll see it's brought in the initial geometry box in the 3D. It's just loading up the information, and there is our stove, all ready to go. Another thing you may have noticed as I was flicking through this catalog list here are these stars. And these stars allow us to select favorite catalogs, maybe dealers that you work with, or maybe just catalogs that have content that you use a lot. So just by selecting those stars, the next time you open your catalog list, those will have floated to the top. And if you make a mistake, you can just get rid of them exactly the same way. Okay, so let's have another view of our kitchen here. So this view, we can see we have a sink base in here, and we have a countertop, but we have no sink. So let's have a look at how we would do that. And for that, we're going to use the cloud configurator. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to use the floor plan here to select this sink. Okay, so I've only selected that one item, but I want to run through some of the components of the cloud configurator, which you can see here over on the right. Up at the top, there is a selector for catalog to tell the configurator which catalog you want to operate on. Then we have a couple of filters, which we'll look at. And we also have two columns. On the left, there are features, and on the right, there are options which relate to the selected feature. So we've selected wood species here, and our option list shows us all the available wood species for this particular item. If I was to pick the door style, it would show me in the option list all the door styles that are available. So let's stick with this sink base for a moment. There's another cool feature about the configurable content from the cloud in that it's smarter than other content, in that it will allow you to select items that are relevant to that product. So what I'm talking about here is associated products. The cloud content won't let you construct a cabinet that is unable to be manufactured or ordered from your manufacturer. It has all these checks and configurations built in that will prevent that from happening. So this is a sink base, so it's allowing me to pick a selection of sinks. Had this been a tall wall unit, it would not have shown me sinks. It may have shown me ovens or double ovens or microwaves and that sort of thing. So let's go in here. You'll see my option list has now changed to something a bit more like the browser. I'm going to go and pick this guy here. And then very quickly you see it's added my sink and it's updated both 3D and the floor plan. But on top of that, it's also updated my list of associated products, because now I can add a faucet because I have a sink in place. So if we go in here, we can see again we're faced with a list, and we're going to pick that one there. Okay, and that's a very quick dive into how the configurator operates. The way you use it is very much the same regardless of where you are in your design. So let's take another couple of examples. I'm going to change this view again to the opposite view of our range that we just added. And we're going to do some messing around with this cabinet up here. So we can either make a selection from the elevation or from the floor plan. Let's do the elevation this time. And so for this cabinet here, it's given me options and features that apply to it. You can see here I no longer have the associated products because I can't add a sink or an oven to this cabinet. It's completely wrong, but I do have other options. So I'm going to go into add-ons and I'm going to have a look at door with insert. I'm going to prep it for glass. And then let's add a mullion. And again, you can see in a very quick couple of clicks, I've made some pretty significant changes to that single unit in there. But we can do more than that. Let's have a look at our full kitchen again. And let's just click on the floor plan. And by doing that, I'm deselecting this single cabinet that I had selected, and I'm allowing everything in the design to be available to me in the configurator. What you can see here are these numbers showing me that there are 15 items which have an alder wood species applied and 15 with a Cambridge door style. So I can make wholesale changes to this design as well as those specific changes to one particular item. So let's pick this, and for the sake of argument, let's change everything to a Newman arch. Now you can see in the hidden line view here, as 2020 Design Live accesses a database and moves around the design, it starts making updates to everything, and very quickly it's all done. So now you have a completely different style of kitchen within just a couple of clicks. Let's color that in and see how far we can go with this. So if I make this a texture drawing, we can see that we have a brindle finish option on all of these cabinets. Perhaps we would want to change that up. Now, I'm no designer, as you'll see in a moment, but let me just pick these two cabinets, one of which we looked at earlier. And what we're going to do here is just go in and make them significantly different so that you can see how that can work and how easily that can be applied. So the rest of our kitchen is brindle. These two are unfinished, maybe to apply a paint or a separate type of finish or something like that. But you could do all kinds of things with this same mechanism, where you could have a separate colored island or a different wall in a different color and so on. And that's really all I wanted to show you in the configurator for today. I'm going to hand it back to Santiago.
All right, Mark, thanks a lot. So maybe I'll just do a quick recap since we have some time here with us. So this is the same kitchen that Mark was playing with. Basically, Mark took us over through the cloud browser on the left-hand side. How you can access all your items and from the cloud and drag them into your design or your projects. Basically, you have a list of available catalogs here that you can pick and choose which ones are your favorites and ones you like to add items from. Then he talked about the different filtering capabilities, how you access the text field, how you can navigate through the various categories of a specific catalog that's been selected, how you can change your view of your cloud browser so you can have a better appreciation and better understanding or looking for the items that you really want to add on your projects. So that's for the cloud browser. Then Mark talked about the cloud configurator, where he delved into the real power of this tool, being able to configure your items from the cloud using Cloud Configurator. So Cloud Configurator, in a nutshell, is composed of two columns. The first column, the features, and the second one being the associated options of those features. For example, if I go back to wood species, these are all the wood species that I can select for my items on my projects. Cool. So that, in a nutshell, is the cloud browser and cloud configurator. And so I'm going to guide your attention to the next section of this presentation, which is rates. We've talked about the cloud browser. The cloud browser has a couple of tabs. The news feed provides all the latest updates regarding cloud items. The browser, which permits you to add items from the cloud and put onto your project. But there's also this little icon, which is display pricing categories. It looks like a coin stack. Basically, when you click over here, this provides you access to the rates editor. So how you can add or compose the rates of cost and retail rates. So here are the same selection of catalogs that are available from your cloud browser. I'm just going to select, in this case, Birch Marketplace Cabinetry. And here I have access to my factors that I was referring to. There's a cost factor and there's a retail factor. So this specific catalog has two pricing categories. The first one being the cabinets, second one being the accessories. Every catalog is different. So certain catalogs have more than two, maybe 10. Certain other catalogs only have one pricing category that can be set for this specific catalog. So let's go and tackle the cost factor of the cabinets. Where do I enter this value? Well, if I can draw your attention here to the bottom section of the cloud browser, you have the cabinets and you have an example price, which we've entered by default 100. And this is where you can set the cost factor. Basically, you can apply a percentage and cost price result will be calculated for you automatically based on the example price. So this cost factor will be applied to all your items or all your cabinets in this example of your projects. So if I go ahead and set a 50% cost factor, you'll notice that the cost price result example here comes down to $50. For the retail factor, that's a factor applied on the cost price result. So if I draw again your attention over here, and I'll just wait a second until my project is refreshing. And if I go over here and apply again another 50%, you'll see that that 50% is applied on the cost price result. So you can see now that my example, my retail price result comes up to $75. So which is 50% of $50. It's a $25 increase. So here's my margin. And the system also automatically calculates the margin percentage. So that's how you apply your cost factors and retail factors for your specific catalog that you do. When do you need to do this? Basically, you only need to do it once if your cost factors and retail factors don't change. So once you've applied these factors, these are saved for you on your account in the cloud. So you don't need to bother with these anymore. You can start any number of projects and these will get applied automatically to all your projects. And you can see how simple it is to change it. So if you want to change a retail factor at any time, you can go back over here and rechange a retail factor for your specific cabinet that you're interested in, and those get applied from now on for any subsequent project. Okay, so very easy, very simple way of applying those costs at retail factor. All right, now that we're done setting the rates, it's time for us to look at reporting capabilities of 2020 Design Live. This is my kitchen, basically it's the same kitchen that we've been using to set the rates. And what I'll do to provide you a bit more incentive of how you can configure some items of your kitchen, just like Mark has done previously, I'm going to select some of these cabinets and assign them a different finish option. So for instance, it's common to have an island that has different finish option than the rest of the kitchen. So I'll do just that. I'll go into my cabinet section and select all my island cabinet by just simply rubbing banding it. I now have them selected and I can see that I have 3 cabinets selected on my floor plan. Better yet, if I hover my mouse, as you see here on the finish option, you notice that my items are highlighted on the floor plan, which is a nice representation of what I'm trying to do and what items will be affected by any changes in options right here. So my entire kitchen is set to brindle as finish option. So what I'll do is for these 3 cabinets, I'm going to set a different finish. Let's make it toffee. Once that's done, I'm going to provide you with the perspective so you will get a better understanding of how the kitchen looks like. go and call up the island view. Here's my view. So you see the rest of my kitchen is of this darker brown color, whereas my island is a clearly light color. All right, so how does this look like in our report? Let's bring up a report. So if I have access to my list of generic reports right here, and I'll select, of course, in this case, the cost cell. So we'll be able to understand how the rates were applied to the pricing on my reports. So if I call this up, and I select view, bring my report on my screen here, and let's look at this section of my cabinetry. Now, one thing you might have noticed right away is that the report has two main sections. One is block 1, which houses all the cabinets or all the items on my kitchen, or the cabinets in this case, that have these common set of features and options. And I have a second block here, which lists my 3 island cabinets with their respective list of feature and option. As you notice here, the difference between these two sections is the finish option that I have applied of toffee for these 3 island cabinet. In this case, the finish option was kept to brindle, right? So this is very clear on representation of the kitchen and how it's encompass or conglomerates a similar feature and option together, right? And if I look now at the pricing, so here I have 3 types of price. We have my list price, which comes with the catalog itself, and I have my cost and retail rate based on the cost rates that I have applied previously throughout the cloud browser. So my cost is at 50%, my retail is at 50% of the cost, which brings out the price to $373 for this first cabinet, B15L. Okay, and you'll notice also that each block has a specific subtotal, so you get a better understanding of where is the cost of your kitchen. And of course, you have an underlying total for the whole kitchen. All right, so I'm very excited to present you. It's something we've been working in the background for a while now, and it's going to be made available for 2020 Design Live users exclusively. Basically, it's a new rendering engine. It's faster, it's better, it's easier to use. So all features that will be very appreciated by your customers. So how do we play with it? How do we get access to it? Let's take a look at 2020 Design here, and go into under File, Preferences. I go under Rendering Performance, and right here at the top, available with 2020 Design Lab, I have a selection box. Right now, by default, set to Redway 3D, which is the rendering engine that's been used the past couple of years. Now you have access to this beta version of 3D. Okay, so it's a preliminary version. Of course, we're continuing integration with it. There's some areas that hasn't been fully integrated, but I think you'll appreciate to the level it is today already. All right, so let's take a look at what it brings out to you. In this case, I'll call up a new perspective. And as you see as refreshing, we have a nice and crisp new rendering that's using the new capability of what we've called 3D, which is our proprietary rendering engine. So as you notice, I haven't had to do any change in light. The system recognizes this quite simply, and I can rotate and look into to get a different perspective to a very nice rendering right off the back without me needing to tweak the lights or play with the whites. So which is something that was something of a concern from a user. How do I get really whites to look white? So now with this new rendering engine, again, it's a faster render. It's a better looking rendering at the end, easier to use and less hassle to create or to play with the lighting. Okay. Now, if you add on top of this the capability of 360 panorama, I think you'll appreciate them being able to create them faster and easier as well. Cool. Very excited about this. I'm glad to hear your feedback. Please provide it our way. I'm very interested to see how you appreciate this new capability of 2020 Design Live. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We have a lot of material on the website. We have a lot of video material to train on 2020 design. We provide class training as well. We have a huge database of articles in our Knowledge Center database that provides answers to common known issues. And we also have a wide forum, which is called a community, where users get in there and constantly ask questions and interact with each other. So you can, if you're looking for something specific, such as training or issues you like to bring up or discuss, how do you do this? How do I apply texture? Well, some of these answers will be available through these community forums. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Don't hesitate to contact us and revisit this. Thanks a lot. Thank you.